Welcome to the Healing Grove podcast. I'm Dr. Kristin, an integrative holistic family physician, author of Life After Lyme, and host in this virtual space of learning, healing, and growing. I believe humans are like trees, and our physical limb is only one of many. Health on all limbs of the tree, emotional, conceptual, social, spiritual, is absolutely required for the whole tree that is you to be vibrantly well. I created the Healing Grove podcast as a place to showcase some of the world's best integrative and holistic medicine, to expose you to transformative tools and mindset shifts for all limbs of your tree. I hope you enjoy our conversation in the Healing Grove today as much as I enjoyed having it. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce you today to my friend, Dr. Barbara Kleeb. Barbara is an obstetrician and gynecologist in Zurich, Switzerland, but she has a whole bunch of other awesome things that she's done and does and has a lot of expertise in. For example, plant medicine, homeopathy. She's also a singer and songwriter. She's a creative and loves the outdoors and loves art. She's a photographer. But today, I'm so excited to introduce you to her and hear her talk to you about something that she spent a lot of years developing for her patients called her Authentic No program. But before we do that, Barbara, I want to welcome you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what draws you to working with people with complex, chronic, sometimes mysterious medical illnesses.
First of all, thank you, Kristin. It's such a great opportunity and I love you so much. And it's a pleasure to work with you.
I love you too, Barbara.
I love this challenge,
What
Can we start again?
What are we? We're a community of people learning and healing together, right? It is a little bit of a challenge, but more of a play date in a beautiful forest. So here we are in the forest together.
Okay. Now I've lost my.
Let's start over. Barbara,
good.
Tell me about what brought you into working with people and teaching them how to say no. Can you tell us what sort of piqued your interest and how you started down that path?
Ultimately, I'm working with my patients, and if they need something, if they have a problem, like a special patient had a problem with sleeping, and she was very nervous. And then I went into asking her what she needed. And in such situations, I just developed the tools for my patients to get them to a better place and make them happier and healthier again. So for this special patient, I developed the tool Authentic No. So her story is, she is the leader of a family business that is inherited, and she's working with all her brothers and sisters, and she is the one that should be able to take the lead. Now, the problem was, she has a sister with a kind of a mental problem who was always obstructing all the decisions that she should make. And also, she was really traumatizing her and made her feel so as if she were not good enough. So I asked her whether she could say no, and she said no. And then I developed for her this method, and I used the tool that I learned from my sex therapy course, which are linked to the body language. And then I taught her how to say no in a grounded, authentic way, so that she could also stand in a way that gives her respect, to use her voice. And I told her to go home and practice, which she did. And then a short time after, she came back, and I was really astonished because she felt much better, she could sleep better, and she was less nervous. And I saw her several times to make sure that she did the practices, and she did it. And when I was secure that she did it the right way, we kind of separated, and I saw her again for the annual control a year later. And then she told me that her business was now really thriving. So this little thing, saying no authentically, had not only changed her her own ability to sleep and her nervousness, it had changed the whole family business. I was really thrilled to see that, and also the business.
So what you're saying is you taught her some little tools. She went home with homework, did
Yes,
those practices every day, and her life totally changed.
exactly. And this
Okay,
is why I'm so
I'm
excited.
into that. I want to hear what those practices are. Can you share? I mean, are you able to share some of those with us? I know you have a whole program and you teach people how to do this over, is it 6 weeks, 12 weeks? You have a whole
6 weeks.
immersion. What are
Yeah.
some of the top things that anyone can do without hurting themselves to start to cultivate their own ability to say no and set boundaries?
A very important thing is to really stand in a way, and I'm teaching the details to that. Focus on your feet, maybe as a start. I start the program with that as well. And then look how you're actually standing, how your voice is sounding, how you're breathing, and not just say the word, because it's important to stand in a way that people are respecting the no and not just throwing you over, or that you are kind of offending other people.
So it sounds like you're really teaching them to have a certain presence in their body as they're
Yeah,
saying
exactly.
no. Do you, and as you're saying that, it occurs to me, I don't think I mentioned one of the things you've done is been an actor and you've studied stage presence. Do you feel like that has informed any of this for you?
It's actually, I meant the stage present is when I go on stage and sing, because there I have to act as well as, because I have to show what my songs mean, or at least I love doing that, and to be in contact with the public. And I have done classes with other women who were giving me the feedback, and I was very nervous when I started doing this. And what I found out is when I really center on the way that I walk and on the way that I come on stage and on my body, the nervousness nearly goes away. It's just still a bit present, but it's a huge difference in that.
Yeah. So you and I have similar overlap in that we both see patients, we see clients one-on-one, we see people who are sick sometimes. A lot of my people are dealing with complex, chronic, sometimes baffling or mysterious medical symptoms or syndromes and illnesses. And one of the things I've found is that a lot of those people have a really hard time saying no to a lot of obligations in their lives that really aren't necessarily their duty or responsibility, but they just have a hard time saying no. Do you find that is true in your population as well?
Yes, and also I'm a member of 2 different programs dealing with people who have chronic diseases. One is with people who have chronic fatigue, and there I could see that a lot of them have problems stating their boundaries, and they are also kind. And the other one is a weight loss program where I was also engaged because I lost 30 kilos since 2011. And also in this program, I meet a lot of people who are so kind and just giving all their energy away. And then sometimes they're realizing, like, "Ooh, I get nothing back." And I think this is such a painful thing.
So I'm interested in your use of the word kind because a lot of people have been conditioned to think that, well, you want to be kind. Like, I want to be a nice person. I want to be a good person. How do you help people wrangle with that, that tension between wanting to sort of be what they think they're expected to be, and also wanting to take care of their own energy, as you say.
I love working with kind people because in the world we're living in, empathy is kind of not something that is there very often. And I just always felt drawn to people who are kind. But if they are like too kind in a way that they are giving everything away that they have, they land being exhausted. They have no time. They may spend money on presents for other people. And if they continue doing that and not respecting what they need to get and what they need to keep for themselves, they may even land in diseases.
Yeah, I see that a lot. So how do you, what would you say to someone sitting in front of you who said, yeah, this is me. I don't have enough time for myself. I feel like I give, and never get back in my relationships. I'm the last one leaving work and the first one showing up. I'm always, everyone sort of relies on me to take up the slack, right? Those would be that'd be evidence in my mind of some boundary issues, right? You're doing other people's work and not just your own. What would you tell them in terms of next steps for how to correct that?
I would try to connect to them so that they realize that they're actually kind of a fun person. And then I would love to, and this is what I'm doing in my challenge, that they can see that setting boundaries is not something that is punishing the other people or is kind of taking all the stuff for themselves. They can stay kind, and I want them to stay kind because I want to support this. And then I would love them to be part of my program, Authentic No.
Yeah. So
Because then I could teach them how to be grounded, how to breathe, and how to say no in a way that is just authentic and not offensive, and it's effective and not offensive as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned breathing. Are there certain techniques that you use that you can teach us now, like little simple things that people might try if they self-identify as, yeah, I'm one of those people. I have trouble saying no. I have trouble setting my boundaries. What does breath have to do with it? And can we get a little teaching on that?
Yes, please. So first, what I saw, some people I worked with, I let them lay down and just let them breathe. And then I saw that they just breathed very superficially, or that they had like stops of breathing in the continuity between the pelvis and the chest, like the breath was some kind of stopped. And this was often a traumatic experience that they had that made them do this kind of breathing. I don't know why, but it just showed this way. Maybe because whatever you have lived is stored somewhere in your body. And also, if we're breathing, the ribs are involved, the belly is involved, and the breathing ideally goes all the way down and touches the inside of your pelvis. And with most of the people, it gives kind of a stop here. Even though they might really try to breathe in their belly and do it intentionally, what you want to have in the end is the free floating breath. So the exercise goes like this. You put one hand on your chest and the other on your hip. And then
Hold on your hip. So where on your hip are you?
I'm just, oops, here.
Got it.
Just, it doesn't have to be exactly on the hip, just a position that feels comfortable. You can also maybe lay this arm on your leg. You have to find a comfortable position. And then I laid on my leg now. It's better for the sitting position. And then I just start with very slow, big and soft circles with this shoulder. I let my mouth be open. And I focus on this hand that's on my sternum. This is the bone in the middle of the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I focus feeling this little movement that I have under my hand. It reminds me of if a butterfly would move under my hand. Mm. And don't worry if the circles are not smooth in the beginning, because this is a place where we normally don't really move so much. So it's kind of sometimes crackling or not so easy to move. Of course, I have practiced, so you can see that. But if you practice, it's going smoother. And then when you focus on this fine movement of your hand, it changes something emotionally in you. And then you change the hands. And maybe you have one shoulder that is easier, the other not. And then you start with the easier one, kind of inspire the other one to go. And you focus on your hand.
And again, you're talking about the hand on your chest.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly. You focus on the hand on your chest. And again, feel those movements.
The little butterfly.
What I forgot to tell you is first you get conscious on how you're breathing to feel the difference afterwards. And now you just sit there or stand there or lay there and watch whether something has changed in your breath. And maybe also emotionally. A lot of people find this really relaxing, and I see that most of the patients can breathe deeper after this exercise.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And I love the image of a little butterfly, drawing attention to that little kind of bubbly sensation that happens right there.
Yes.
Really sort of helped focus me into my body. That was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, Barbara, what's the connection between that exercise and being able to set boundaries? Help us draw the link there.
What I teach in setting boundaries is to be grounded and really connected to the core, to the own body, to really feel who you are. And from that on, go and say the word no and make the connection so that you are able to say how far should people come to me. And if you have to say no, which is not, it's not my goal that you say no to everything. It's if you're saying yes, your yes should be an intentional yes and should give you joy and make you receive things. And the no should also be so that it's meant and it's respected from other people. And to be able to really breathe is making you feel your body better, and then you can be more grounded and you can say no in a way that people think, oh, it's just a no, because we really have the right to say no. And also what I saw from parents, you have kids, maybe you saw it as well, most of the kids just say no even before they know what the word means, the parents tell me. And it's kind of funny for the parents to see that this little child is one of the first words that it's using is a no. And then it gives a whole exchange of power, maybe the kid doesn't even know what the no means first. And then afterwards, it's kind of finding out that it's kind of a power. And then it depends on how the parents treat the no of the kid, that you either keep your no or you avoid the no, give it away. And from that, you also give the boundaries away. And that is detrimental for the well-being and the health.
So what I'm hearing you say, Barbara, is that a lot of us, all of us, sort of start out with the inherent ability to say no, to, put up a hand to things that don't feel right for us. And many of us lose that ability or give that away, in your words. What are the kinds of things that cause little children to stop saying no, to stop setting their boundaries?
There are different issues. Some parents, in my head, it's the strong Italian father that I saw, a friend in my primary school that I have, who set such strict rules and allowed nothing else than just his rules. And how should the kid say no to this strong father? The kid is small, and the kid then starts doing the stuff the other way and maybe not even honestly tells what it really wants and avoids the no because the confrontation is just not possible. And other people, other parents are maybe just not the role model for a no because they don't have boundaries, and then they raise their kids like they think it's perfect. I mean, every parent does the best for the child, whatever result it has, but to the ability that the parent is now when the child is small.
Sure, right. We all bring our own baggage and our own wounds to our relationships, despite our best intentions, right? To raise our kids and love them and help them feel loved and worthy. So what about
So, sorry, also conditional love. If you say no to me, I'm not feeling well, or I get angry. Don't say that, but you expose that. It's non-verbal communication that is installing the people to just not take the no anymore.
Yeah.
That they
So
have the right to have. Sorry.
I want to put a plug right now for your challenge. I participated in one of your recent challenges leading up to the launch of your most recent course, and found it so interesting to not just see what other people identified as, their first experience with bumping up against the boundary or someone's resistance to them saying no as a child, but also my own, like just kind of realizing, wow, there were a lot of things that I grew up with that really contribute to my own lack of boundaries, my own difficulty setting boundaries and saying no to things that I may not want to be doing. For me, I remember growing up in a family where no was rarely either said to us or taken seriously. So I feel like I grew up trampling people's boundaries. And now I look back with a lot of regret and think about, wow, I didn't know how to respect boundaries because we didn't really set a lot of boundaries growing up. So
Yes.
it's really useful to think about that and kind of reflect on where my own boundary-less issues. I mean, I sometimes talk about myself and jokingly say I'm a card-holding member of Doctors Without Boundaries, because it's not in my nature to have a lot of boundaries, and yet boundaries can be really important. So one of the things that I think people in this community might really connect to in your work comes with the decision point that people are often at in complexity, with complex illness, around what to do next. What do I try next? There's people who are doing so many different things for chronic fatigue, or so many different practices or protocols for Lyme. And in fact, in our community, we're sharing a lot of options and tools. And one of the things I think is really important for people as they're navigating all in the known universe around what could help is their own innate connection to their authentic no. What just doesn't feel right to me? What's a yes? If you know what's a no, then you also start to understand what's a true yes for you. Help me understand how you can imagine that working for this population. Do you think, like, your program, for example, would be a useful tool for people who aren't clear about their own intuitive knowing?
I think by the centering work that I do, there are different effects that are arising, and I mean, it's so important to really get connected to your core and to feel what is really good for you. Even when you're sick, there is a lot of publicity now. People are offering things, and to really sense what's good for you. I love this point that you're saying. And if you know that you have the right to say no and you practice the really to say the no, I think you have another awareness of that it's an important thing. You have to say no also to buying too much programs. That is, for example, something that I've seen in this other group where people have chronic fatigue. They have given away thousands of dollars for different programs and got promises from experts. I mean, we in Switzerland don't have so much things because we are not really allowed to make advertisement, or have not been to make advertisement for medical products. So we are kind of protected from that. But if you constantly get these advertisements in the sense of, oh, here's the great community, and so then it's really necessary to connect and to know a point where can I check out whether this is really a good thing for me or not. And ideally you find it in yourself, or you have people who you can exchange whether this is really a good thing for you or not.
So almost like a little mini board of directors of people who you can, bring your questions to and get some feedback and advice on things you're considering. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that could be. I have to still develop that one.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a lovely image. I've been flirting these days with my own board of directors and who I want on it. And I think we all need it. It's part of playing the sport that is life, which is a team sport, and having people around us who we trust, who know us, who we can be
Yes.
vulnerable and authentic with, who we can say no to and who can say no to us. That's a huge thing for me. Like, I don't really want to be in any new relationships with people who aren't willing to tell me no when they're feeling no. Like, I don't want to have to think about whether it's right for someone else. It's just too much energy. It's an energy drain.
Yes.
To have to manage everyone's no for them. So I love that you're teaching people this. I love that you're helping us all learn together what we can do to stay in our bodies, to stay connected to our authenticity and our authentic no. Are there any other tools? Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, every day I'm going to be standing on my feet and paying attention to my stance. I'm going to be doing my little hip shoulder breathing for 5 minutes or even 2 minutes. What's one more thing we can each be doing every day to start to reconnect with our body's ability to know yes and no for us?
Actually, this is not totally part of the program, but I have a YouTube channel where I make little videos to make people happier or healthier. Stuff like going into the sun for half an hour each day. Of course, you shouldn't burn yourself, but this is as effective as an antidepressant. And in this channel, I have a little video, and it's called How to Take Compliments. I might find another title and do it again because it's really a cool thing. And what I'm teaching there is, as mostly it's women, but also men who have a problem taking a compliment, and what they do then is kind of reject the compliment and say, oh no, it's no, it's not necessary that you're giving me a compliment. But I found out that what you really want as a person giving the compliment to somebody else is them to receive your compliment and say yes. So I have developed this really easy steps for taking a compliment. And this is, if you get a compliment, breathe in and enjoy the breath like as if you would smell a flower. Slowly let a smile arise on your face and say thank you and feel it. And then you're producing gratitude on both sides, on the one that is getting the compliment and on the one that is giving the compliment. And it makes kind of a small but very beautiful change, and your day will be just so much more beautiful after that.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing my next step, although I've already taken this. So anyone else's next step, if they want to hang out more with Dr. Barbara Kleeb, is to get on her newsletter and get her YouTubes a couple times a week. I've been enjoying them for over a year, and I always love it when you're outside. That's just putting my plug in for more bird song and more outside. I know it's sometimes windy, but I always really like it when you're getting whipped around by the wind and the birds are flying by. Yeah, it's my 2 cents on that. So thank you for that. So before we end, is there any last word or message that we haven't touched on yet that, when you in your mind are sort of sitting with the image of people who are either struggling to regain their health or just looking to maintain a high level of vitality and using all these tools, but in particular those people who are struggling and a little bit lonely and disconnected and just feeling like, you know what, I'm going to say no to saying no right now because I don't even know how to start. Like, what would you like to share from your heart for those folks?
I love that you've taken the time and listened to our communication. And what I also want to share is, I'm also a songwriter. I went to Cuba. I found top musicians who were it was really a lot for me that I could make those beautiful songs with them. And the texts of the songs are really strong metaphors. And the second album is called Human Psychology, and I will now regularly release a song on Facebook live. And it's a great thing if you can also listen to the text or just let my music influence you, because I realize, and a lot of people who have listened to it have just this feeling that they feel uplifted after listening to the songs. Maybe it's the Cuban atmosphere or the songs themselves. I have all real instruments and they are played really beautifully. And it was a loving community. Whatever it makes, the songs have this effect on you, even on me. So I would recommend you listening to my songs.
Beautiful. Well, I want to end by offering you some words of gratitude and then watching you accept them in the way you just taught us to accept them. I just want to say, I think you're fabulous. I love watching you put your heart into your videos and your songs and your course and your challenge. And I know you're doing all of this in addition to being a busy doctor in the clinic. And I just want to thank you for all the work you're doing on behalf of people who are learning to cultivate their ability to say no.
You.
What is that?
I have a bit of cold, but thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healing Grove podcast. If you liked it, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to deepen your experience further, consider grabbing a copy of the Healing Grove Playbook. With journal prompts for this podcast and 41 others, it's the perfect place to record your learnings, keep track of the tools you explore, and reflect on your own experience. Finally, it's important to mention that even though I am a doctor, nothing you hear on this podcast, whether from myself or my guests, constitutes medical advice. Any intervention you try should always be discussed with and supervised by a trusted member of your own healing team. Thanks for listening, and see you next time in the Healing Grove.